Where's he gone?
Where's the dog gone? Can you see him? Surprise. A Spanish TikTok star has been slammed for some awful sexual behavior. Amanda Ensing has defended American slavery. Jaclyn Hill has hit back at claims she lied about a recent kidnap attempt. And TikTok is freaking out over JoJo Siwa's recent glow-up. All this, plus I feel bad for defending Addison Rae so much on this week's podcast, because apparently she loves Donald Trump, so... As the Scottish say, you live and you learn. Good Lord. On this week's edition of YouTuber News, hosted by me, Benedict Townsend, at Benedict Town, and brought to you by PopBuzz, the only website that is the #1 champion sound. Yeah, Estelle, we're about to get down. Who's the hottest in the world right now? Just touched down in London town, but they give me £1. I tell them put the money in my hand right now, and tell the promoter we need more seats, because we just sold out all the floor seats, and take me on a trip. I'd like to go someday. I'd like to go to New York. I'd love to see LA. I really want to come kick it with you. You'll be my YouTuber News.
How many times are we going to do that joke?
Have I done that joke many a time, have I?
Yes, we're adding that to the list.
Now, before we start the show, I'm doing something a bit special this week, something we're going to do every week. I'm going on the YouTuber News Twitter right here, and I'm going to tweet out asking people to send replies to this tweet, and any replies that I receive between now and the end of the record have a chance to be read out on this show. I'm going to send that tweet now. Our first story. And if there's one thing we can say about the internet at large, it's that it's international. YouTube nonsense recognizes no borders, and terrible people are perhaps the only universal constant on our planet. And so it's with that peppy and upbeat thought in our mind that we travel to Spain for our first story. Beautiful, sunny Spain, the home of bagpipes, spaghetti, and Oktoberfest. What? They do have all those things in Spain. It's a globalized world, of course they have all those things. And they were all invented there as well. Anyway, today's Spanish scoundrel is Name Derechi, a TikToker who has over 26 million followers and who has been under fire from Spanish citizens, the Spanish media, and even the Spanish Equality Minister. That's when you know you've really messed up. So what did he do? Well, he did the two-step bad thing that online creators seem incapable of not doing, which is you do a terrible thing and then make a public video admitting to doing that thing. And then I guess step 3 is acting surprised that everyone is now somehow mad at you. In this guy's case, he was being interviewed by a YouTuber and they were talking about sex for some reason, and he said, quote, and I'm not going to do a Spanish accent. That would be very offensive. I can do a perfect Scottish accent, but I'm not going to do a Spanish one. He said, I find it difficult with a condom, so I never use one. He then explained, and this logic is insane, he says that seeing as none of the people he's ever slept with have ever got pregnant, quote, I started thinking that I had a problem. So I tell them, relax, I'm sterile. It's true. And then they both laugh. So he's lying about being sterile to avoid having to use contraception. And I don't think I need to even go into why this is bad. I mean, that is such a violation of consent. You're lying to someone to get them to sleep with you. You're also setting someone up to potentially get pregnant in a way that they think isn't possible. And let's also not forget that contraception doesn't just exist to prevent pregnancy, it also prevents the spread of STDs. So this is a very serious thing to do. And shockingly, he's now had to come out and issue a groveling apology saying, quote, I made a comment that really is out of place and that is not right. Then he went for this old chestnut. He said, sometimes I say things and sometimes I exaggerate. But here, it's just crazy what I said. I wish it had been cut at the edit and no one would have ever heard it. So that's a lovely full-throated apology there. Guys, I'm really sorry you hear that. I wish it hadn't been included. I wish I'd just said it in secret. Hee hee. No, you should apologize for the horrible things you've done, not the fact that everyone's heard it and saw it. But that is the typical YouTuber apology. It's that and it's sorry if you're offended. Those are the two pillars of YouTube. Now this actually comes at a time when the Spanish Parliament is about to debate a new sexual consent law in September because Spain's legal system has been seen as very lacking in this area. Hence the particular amount of attention this one YouTuber has got, outside of just how patently shocking it is. And yeah, sometimes we talk about Spanish politics on this show. It's not just rat nonsense. This is an advanced show for smart people. Speaking of smart people, you can probably tell that our regular correspondent, Oreo the dog, is not on today's episode. They were busy overseas in a war zone reporting, so unfortunately there will be no Oreo this week. We've got the rat, we've got the mug. So anyway, time to move on to our next... Oreo, what are you doing here? Uh-huh. Is that right? Wow, sounds harrowing. Well, it's great to have you back, little dog. Woof, woof. Okay, you do your thing. Our second story, beauty YouTuber Amanda Ensing has joined the ranks of many people, including Name Direcci, remember him from the first story, in inexplicably choosing to film and upload her horrible opinions, and then post them publicly to millions of people. Pretty bad, right? Now, she's known for her inflammatory views, but now, for some reason, she's decided, in the middle of a makeup video, to defend both the United States' history of stealing native land and also enslaving people, with an argument along the lines of, other people did it, therefore it's fine. Which, you know, do we even have to explain why that argument doesn't hold water? Do I need to insult your intelligence by explaining why two wrongs don't make a right? It's the weakest defense you can make of any action, and it's the one defense these people always flock to, because it's the only argument they have of like, well, yeah, this thing's indefensible, but like someone else did it once, so shut up. One of her assertions is that it was fine for American settlers to take land from Native Americans because they themselves would war over land and have land disputes. And it's just not comparable at all. I mean, there was literally an American law signed in 1830. We might have to lose the dog. There was literally an American law signed in 1830, not that long ago, called the Indian Removal Act. You can't compare local territory disputes to the systematic removal and ethnic cleansing of an entire group of people. And also, at this point, I think what I find most infuriating is the audacity of like not even giving an inch and being a little bit sad that that happened. Like, Native Americans have already been basically wiped out. You know, the colonizers have already taken all the land. The least you can do is let them acknowledge that that happened. But no, you have to also refuse to even question for a second if that was a morally right thing to do. Like, it's not like Amanda Ensing has to go and personally apologize, right? Obviously she wasn't alive then, but like, don't defend it. And then when it comes to defending slavery, I mean, you've lost as soon as you begin. All in all, Amanda Ensing, you're bad. Guys, the replies are coming in thick and fast to the tweet. Let's see, the first one says, I, Benedict Townsend, am putting all my money towards buying gloves for penguins so their flippers don't get cold. That's from Kira. And that's not legally binding, I'm not doing that. Ali says, exploiting viewers for free comedy labor once again, how shameful. Deal with it, Ali, deal with it. Natalie says, I don't like rats. They're all coarse and rough and irritating, and they get everywhere. And Moon Me says, expect the unexpected, baby! Those are just some of the great replies we've already got. And you can hear more of them later in the show. But let's move on. Our third story, Jaclyn Hill has hit back at claims she lied about a kidnapped attempt. She tweeted, quote, I seriously had one of the scariest experiences of my life last night. Two guys were literally trying to physically pull me into their car while I was alone outside. Thank you, Jesus, that I'm okay, but that was so traumatizing. She then followed up saying, quote, I'm gonna tell you guys what happened in detail later today on my IG stories, so hopefully it never happens to you. I'm still so shook up right now, and it's bullshit women have to be scared of these things. So she posted that, she put that out there, she, waited to then later explain it, but in the meantime, people immediately, because people are the worst and because it's the internet, people started accusing her of simply making this up. To which she later replied, quote, the fact people are accusing me of lying about what happened to me this weekend is absolutely disgusting. You are the reason why so many people don't speak up about things that happen to them. And she went on later on Instagram stories to reiterate that point, saying how shocked she was that people would even accuse her of that. And that is a pretty shocking thing to accuse someone of. I mean, that would be a pretty wild thing to lie about. And she's got a good point. This is why people don't come forward, because they're immediately accused of lying, of trying to get attention. So don't do this. Here at YouTuber News, we're just happy that Jaclyn is safe and okay, so she can get back to what matters, making them nice hairy lipsticks. And now, I don't know about you guys, but kind of having fun this week, and maybe we should do a cheeky fourth. It's time for a cheeky fourth. Cue the music. Our fourth story, people are freaking out on TikTok over JoJo Siwa's latest glow up. A TikTok was posted by user Waste of Time, where there's an X instead of an A. And in the video she says, quote, I'm sorry, how does she go from this, and she shows some clips of old JoJo Siwa, with the bow and the rainbow clothing, to this, and it's a bit of footage from a recent baseball game JoJo was at, where she was wearing like a baseball uniform. Is that what it's called? Yeah, baseball uniform. And she doesn't have a bow anymore because she ditched that, and she just looks older. and more kind of put together. And everyone's like, but how is this possible? She looks completely different. And it's like, well, yeah, one, she's aged. That's what happens when people age. And two, she's just not wearing a crazy, insane bow and rainbow clothing anymore. She's wearing like muted colors and clothes that fit her properly. And so everyone's like, she's a completely different person. And it's like, yeah, well, that's what happens. Either way, it's nice that people are being nice about JoJo Siwa. That's a nice sea change from years of people treating her like a punchline. And maybe she scored a home run at that game. I don't know, but she certainly scored a home run on TikTok because this video got over 1 million views. Swish. Congrats to JoJo for that, and congrats to Waste of Time for getting all those TikTok views. Must be nice. This has been a cheeky fourth. Well, now finally we're done with the news stories and we can get on to what really matters. It's time for Factory or Fictionary. Oreo. And you'll remember last week that Tim Factory rose from the dead, although he faked his own death. Yes, he did, he faked his own death, didn't he? And he came back and he revealed that it was all a test and he was trying to test Jim's loyalty and that they all need to team up now and take down Margaret Factory. Am I boring you? Margaret Factory, the aluminium lady. Well, this week they were all in Tim Factory's private heli base. It's a base that floats with the power of helicopters. And they stood around a big table with a big map on it, and Tim Factory had one of those pointing sticks people use when they're doing plans. And he said, "This over here is Margaret Factory's factory complex, surrounded by aluminium robots that protect it. And this over here is a little service hatch we can get into to sneak into the factory. We're gonna take this sucker down from the inside. How are we gonna do that?" Also, that's not Tim Factory's voice, but it's fine. "How are we gonna do that?" said Jim. "It's very simple," said Tim, remembering how his voice sounds. "There's a single red button at the core of the factory that shuts down all the why would that exist? Don't worry about it. That shuts down all of the robots and disables Margaret's robot suit." She has a robot suit? Of course she has a robot suit, and she's invincible without it.
Invincible without the robot suit.
Yes, she's invincible without the robot suit. That's why we need to get that robot suit on her in order to kill her. When we press the button, the robots are disabled and the robot suit leaps on Margaret, making her invincible. "Sounds like a pretty good plan to me," said Addison Rae, who was here. "By the way, I love Donald Trump, so maybe I shouldn't be here anymore." "Good point," said Tim, pressing another button which dropped her off the helicarrier into a big pile of rubbish. "So we're gonna do this?" said Dan Howe. "We're really gonna take her down? Downtown?" "You better believe it, folks. Now suit up. We've got a factory to regain and a Margaret to repain, by which I mean place in jail for her crimes. I don't particularly want to physically attack my own sister." And then they all parachuted out of the heli base, did a halo jump, high altitude, low opening, making sure to cut their suit before they hit the water, and they swam towards the factory and towards their destiny. Wow, suspense filled. Next week it's the big heist, it's the big attack on the factory. Who will survive? Will anyone survive? Find out. What do you think will happen, Oreo? Bark once for Margaret wins. Bark twice for Dan Howe wins. Say nothing if you think that I'd be an idiot to let the series just end next week, and I'm probably going to just keep this going forever. Now, before we go, let's have a look at a few more replies to that tweet. Yuli has sent a picture of their dog. Here it is, saying, quote, "My dog is not much bigger than a New York City rat, but he's ready to fight with the 9 teeth he has left." Oreo, what do you make of this dog? Alex says, 47, wait, force of habit, the numbers segment. What do you think of these tweets? Bella says, Eggs Benedict. Bella said that. And Ari says, "Laughing Lady, can you read this out?" And it says, "Ha ha 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 ha." Laughing Lady, do you want to do that? Very good. I'm Benedict Townsend, and this is Oreo the dog, and this is YouTuber News, which airs every week on the YouTuber News YouTube channel and also on Snapchat Discover. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, either by hitting subscribe or by swiping up on the last snap of this story, and you'll be the first to get brand new episodes of the show. Also, make sure to check out the YouTuber News podcast, which comes out every Tuesday on your podcast platform of choice. I'll be back next Friday with a brand new episode of YouTuber News, and I'll be back next Tuesday with another episode of Quick Bites. But till then, look after yourselves, have a great week, and remember what Oreo the dog always says. Actually, why not let him say it? Wonderful. Simply wonderful. Goodbye.